today was very windy. It was quite chilly and it was raining on and off, so I didn't pull out my camera that much. But I thought that I would share tips on what you can do if you're in Edinburgh for one day. I just have a few things to share that I learned today that maybe will be helpful to you if you're thinking about visiting Edinburgh for a very short trip in the future. The first tip is to buy a ticket for one of the hop-on, hop-off tours. So there are 3 main ones that leave from near WaverLEY station, which is the main train station in Edinburgh. There is the Edinburgh tour, which is a green bus, the city sightseeing tour, which is red, and the majestic tour, which is blue. You can buy a 24-hour ticket for £15 as an adult or £14 as a student. They even have a combined ticket that gives you access to all 3, but we ended up choosing to buy a ticket for the Edinburgh tour. It had all of the main sites we wanted to see, and that one had a live tour guide while the other 2 had an audio guide. So we just thought it would be more fun to learn about the city from a live guide. All of them have their first tours of the day at around 9 a.m. So we caught one I think around 9:30 or 9:45. And we took it from the first stop all the way to the 10th stop for the Edinburgh tour, which was Edinburgh Castle. And that is where we spent most of our time. A tip for Edinburgh Castle is to buy your tickets from the tour bus. When you get off at the stop, there should be a staff member who can sell you one of the tickets to the castle, which is £17 per ticket for adults, which is the same price if you buy it at the castle. But when you buy it from the tour bus staff, then you get to go in the fast track lane and you can just go straight in more quickly. Just near the entrance of the castle is a meeting point for a free tour, and it's just 25 to 30 minutes, and the tour guide will teach you about the history of the castle and lead you to where the crown jewels are. And then from there the tour ends, and then you can look at the crown jewels, and there's also a great hall where lots of banquets are held, even today I believe. And there's also a Scottish War Memorial. After our tour was done and we had a look around at the Scottish crown jewels and the royal apartments and the banquet hall and everything around there, we decided to go into the tea rooms, which is a restaurant just in that same courtyard. And we are initially just going to go there to use the toilet, but we decided to have some lunch because we were pretty hungry. My mom and I shared one afternoon tea, which was £22, and that actually is pretty affordable compared to a lot of afternoon tea places in London. So I thought it was a good deal. And it comes with 2 scones, a few sandwiches, and also a few desserts, and a pot of tea. So we shared one of those and then ordered another dish, which ours happened to be pasta, but they have other like breakfast and lunch type food. It's a good tip to get a bit of a more affordable afternoon tea, I guess. And it was also shelter from the weather outside because it was, like I said earlier, it was raining on and off. From there, we just kept exploring the castle grounds, and you get really nice views of the city. So that's why we spent a lot of time there. There was even a whiskey shop, and there was a free whiskey tasting. They just gave a tiny sample of a whiskey liqueur with honey, which was very tasty. From the castle, we got back onto the bus and we decided to get off at Charlotte Square, and that is where there happened to be the International Book Festival. So in yesterday's vlog, I mentioned that it's August, which is Fringe Festival time. So there's an arts festival that's going on all over the city, and there's also a book festival. So we stopped by that one. It was free to enter, but there are tickets for different events and signings and readings. But we just looked around the festival grounds. There was a cafe and a courtyard outside and a bookshop. So it was just fun to browse around, and I'm sure with the proper planning, then you can find something that you're interested in and have a really good experience there. After that, we were gonna take the bus to Holyrood, which is the palace where the royal family stays when they visit Scotland every summer. And side note, when the royal family is in Scotland for the summer, Buckingham Palace is open for the public, and I already did a video on how you can visit that, so I will link that up there if you're interested. But the palace was actually about to close, so we didn't go there and instead went to the National Museum of Scotland. That was also almost closing, but we did get a chance to really quickly look around the exhibits. There's a central kind of atrium, and there are 3 different levels with all kinds of exhibits about animals, space, fashion, technology. It seemed a bit more geared towards kids, but I'm sure with a lot of time there, you could really learn a lot about Scotland's history. Really close, almost just across the street from the museum, is the Elephant Cafe. And that is the famous cafe where J.K. Rowling wrote many of the Harry Potter books, and it was honestly so crowded, so I was just not wanting to go in there. I just snapped a few quick photos, and instead we went over to Spoon Cafe, which is on the other side of the museum from where Elephant Cafe is, and that is also in the building where J.K. Rowling wrote the first few chapters of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. There used to be a restaurant there called Nichols, I believe, and that is where J.K. Rowling wrote the first few chapters of the Harry Potter series, but now it is a cafe called Spoon Cafe. It was much less crowded and we just enjoyed a light pre-dinner, and it was funny because we were sitting across from this woman who was, I think she was writing poetry, and I actually saw a lot of people who were there writing and reading and probably trying to soak in the vibes of J.K. Rowling. Two things that we didn't do that we could have, and that maybe you would be able to do when you're planning an itinerary for Edinburgh, is go to a show, go to one of the shows during Fringe Festival, and also climb Arthur's Seat. We decided not to do that. We've been doing a lot of walking, and we also did get views of Edinburgh from the castle. I'm sure that the view from Arthur's Seat is amazing. I think just we weren't in the condition to do it. But there definitely would have been time if we did it in the morning, or maybe later in the afternoon, or even tomorrow morning. So that's something that could be fit into a schedule here. I definitely love to travel and see really local places and things like that, but I'm not against doing something very touristy, especially if I don't have much time somewhere. So doing that hop-on, hop-off bus was so convenient. I've done a similar thing in Boston when I was there for just one day. So I think if you're trying to get a good overview of a city and you don't have a lot of time, I really recommend doing one of those kinds of tours. Anyway, as I said, or I'm not sure if I said it earlier, but we are going back to London tomorrow. So just gonna get packing. Luckily, our Airbnb has nobody coming in tomorrow, so we can leave our bags until just before we're gonna take our train. So I'm very happy about that. Always communicate with your Airbnb host to see if you can do early check-ins or late checkouts, and usually they can be really flexible, or at least let you leave your bags while they get the apartment cleaned. So I know that today wasn't a typical follow me around kind of vlog, but I hope you still found it helpful if you are planning to visit Edinburgh in the future. It's a really beautiful city, and I wish we had more time here, but hopefully I can come back in the future and see even more. One thing is the food here is really good, and there seem to be a lot of vegetarian and vegan and healthy options, which is not something I expected. So that's another thing to note about this city. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!